Hi, and welcome to the SEO podcast, The Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing.
Yeah, sound about right. Think you got it right.
Yeah, I nailed it this time. Every now and then that happens. My name is Chris Burris, owner of eWebstyle.
I am Charles Lewis, your Internet Marketing Director.
We are ready to get started. Unfortunately, Paul had another nephew or niece. Did you notice?
I think it was a nephew.
A nephew. Had another nephew today, so he will not be joining us. But you are listening to the most popular SEO podcast on iTunes. Mark our time so we know how long it's going to last.
That's because of you. Keep downloading, keep listening to them, and keep shouting us out. We really appreciate it.
We're getting about 3,500 downloads a week.
Wow, that's what's up.
Yeah.
3,500?
Yeah.
Per week?
Yeah. It's a good count. Our last two podcasts have each had 1,200 downloads of the individual podcasts.
Fancy.
Yeah. So it's our listenership is going up. Thank you. You are listening to podcast number 111.
Wow, 111. This should do something special.
Yeah. Woo! That's all you get. Do the page rank. The tip from our last podcast: know your target market, understand your target market before you start your SEO campaign.
Yeah, definitely.
And by the way, if that wasn't a tip before, it should have been even before, because that's just pivotal.
Yeah, you have to understand who you're marketing to before you start your marketing.
Absolutely. It's like when you took your kind of first real English class, and they're like, you have to understand who you're writing to, understand your market.
Mm-hmm.
Do not forget, we are your friendly, local, neighborhood, top position snatchers, where our mantra is, do not be a douche. And we got 2 reviews. You haven't even seen these yet.
Uh-oh.
This is awesome. But first, a little bit of news. The Google Chromebook debuted. Yeah, that's okay. I was going to ask you what you think, but...
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm a little caught up because, I'm a big Google fan, big Android user, right? But my problem...
You're on Chrome too, right? On the
browser,
I'm
on Chrome browser, which is part of my problem with Google, right? How come Android doesn't have a Chrome browser?
Yeah.
Question 1.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Question 2, they really competing against themselves.
Right.
Because Android is an OS.
Yep.
Chrome is an OS.
Yep.
And so once Chrome comes out with a tablet, what's this going to run?
Yeah, so how's it all going to blend together? Yeah.
And so I'm like, what's up, Google? How is that going to work? And my recommendation, here's my recommendation to Google, who does that, right?
Since they're asking.
Since you're asking, I would make Android just an operating system, period, with a bigger one to use for laptops, desktops, or whatnot, and then let Chrome strictly be a browser.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah. Yeah, because, it's hard to imagine that if Chrome... these Chrome devices, the Chromebook, is if it's just a browser, like literally just a browser, which is the impression.
Well, it's supposed to be an OS as well, but So
how's it different than the Galaxy we have, right? We've got a little Galaxy tablet. Mm-hmm. It's got Android on it, and it can do browsing. So how's it different? And then I can actually put a keyboard on it. And you got the ViewSonic.
Yeah, I got the G tab running Android. So and with the Chromebook, my concern is, since it is an OS, is it going to require apps? Can I run Microsoft Office on there?
Look, the most important thing, the most important thing is, can we play Angry Birds on it?
Because that's an Android app.
Yeah, that's what that. Are you telling me you just released a device that we can't play Angry Birds on? This is like, forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
So I don't know about that.
Wii has a new device coming out, right?
Yeah.
Called the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hoping that you can play DVDs or Blu-ray discs on it, don't.
Yeah, it's not for that. I saw a brief commercial about it, I think. And then my kids, of course, is already asking for it. I
wouldn't mind having one in the house. We have a Wii, we just don't use it very much. Every now and then you bust it out and you play, 100 games of bowling, and then you put it away and it starts collecting dust.
Yep.
Then you pull it out again and you try and find batteries. Because the batteries have been there rotting the whole time. So Last thing, I saw this and it says news, and it turned out to be probably a little bit of information that we'll be covering today, and that's Google is testing click counts on paid search. So they've actually added, remember the old page counter, click counter, or whatever?
Hit counter,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they've added that to some of their paid search. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Before we get into that, we got reviews somewhere in here in all of my notes. Actually, let's talk about this first. We spoke a little bit about Gareth Perkins' question, and he was talking about if I wanted to place well in New Zealand or Australia or the U.S. and Canada. He came back to us and he gave us we asked for some kind of background information, and he gave us background information like, I like some of this, so we'll get a little geography lesson. New Zealand and Australia have a similar relationship as America and Canada. New Zealand is about 4.3 million people. Australia has 23 million people. And he said, we made a good point about the spelling differences. And more importantly, in this case, it turns out the empirical versus metric unit. So that's like the inches and feet versus meters and pounds, or meters and kilos. Yeah. The site makes men's big size site. So that would be like a big and tall site in American terms. They've been an e-commerce site.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think they may call it men's big size site. Yeah. Right. And here we call it big and tall. Yeah. The site's been up for 11 to 12 years. It's in the New Zealand market. It's ranking really well. They've got one database, so it's going to have to all tie together. He thinks that the product names need to be the same because of the system. We could recode that system, or you want to consider recoding that system, because I think you may want different names if you're going to target different areas. You may want the same name, but you're going to have to have different. Yeah, you're going to have to have different content. If we do a quick search, you guys show up well. They show up well in New Zealand. Australia will be a little bit harder. And their goal is U.S. To hit the U.S. market. Of course, isn't that everyone's goal?
Yeah, money in them hills.
He also says
gold.
That we are. There's gold in them there hills.
Mm-hmm.
That New Zealand has .co.nz and Australia is .com.au. So I'm really thinking I'd be seriously considering new sites. And just those new sites can tie into the same database. That shouldn't be a problem. And apparently the Rugby World Cup is about to begin there in Auckland. So, woohoo! You watch it every when it's in a movie.
Yeah, I watched it on the 33rd of February.
February. Is that one click past the star and turn to the right at the moon?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've got Marco Ramos. He sent in some feedback and a question. Hey guys, keep up the great work. I currently listen to your podcast and learn most of my SEO skills from you guys. Thank you so much. Just a minor question. I know you guys are big on CMS, but I was wondering if you guys know anything about PrestaShop. Any feedback would be greatly appreciated.
Sorry, Marcos. It was Marcos, right?
Yep, Marco.
Yep. Well, appreciate you listening. I'm glad you're learning something and don't know anything about PrestaShop. First time ever hearing of it. But tune in next week. I'll give you some info.
Well,
I'll look it up.
I did do a quick search,
okay.
And so there's a couple things that I look for. One of them is it's pretty popular. Like its Alexa ranking for PrestaShop is in the thousands, so it is pretty popular. I went directly to the forum and looked at when the most recent posts in the forum were, because you want an active community. Mm-hmm. They were recent, within minutes, within hours, for a lot of the subjects that were there.
Okay.
What was the other thing? We have kind of a network that we use to find people who are skilled in certain areas. And for instance, we had somebody in the other day who was using a CMS called Concrete 5, and I threw I threw Concrete 5 into that network, and I got 0 responses. That means that there's kind of 0 freelancers, at least on that particular network, who work with Concrete 5. There were a lot for PrestaShop. So, so far we can say that we see no reason not to use it, other than WordPress is better.
Yeah. WP Commerce, Cart 66. Can't go wrong with those.
We've been getting deep into those, and they're working really well for us. All right, we got 2 reviews on iTunes. So this is what we love. You go out onto iTunes, you create an account, and one of them is going to excuse this the length of this startup part of our podcast. I love it. So go to iTunes, create an account, submit a review, and then hit us up actually on Facebook, facebook.com/ewebstyle, twitter.com/ewebstyle, youtube.com/ewebstyle. We're doing another podcast, which is, do we want to do a shout out? I'm sorry. Okay, that's out there. We are doing another podcast, which is a video podcast. It's our website analysis podcast. It's available on Ustream right now. And all you need to do is go to our website, e-webstyle.com. On every page, there's a form on the right where you can fill it out for a free website analysis. If you're one of the lucky chosen few, we'll do a video analysis of your website, and you'll have that, and that'll go into our podcast, and we're getting a lot of really good feedback from that. So
yeah, getting a lot of good feedback. It's great information, and we do it screen to screen, so you can actually see what we're talking about. Very in depth. We'll talk about your code, talk about your site. It's more than just SEO. It's kind of SEO as well.
Yep.
Because we talk about what can help the site convert, and more importantly, you can access it and watch it. Show it to your partners, show it to your salespeople, or whoever you need to do. Or more importantly, contact us, and we can implement those changes for you.
Yeah, and we're finding that we'll do those website analyses, and then the people who requested them will come back to us and ask us more questions and get started with a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is, title: Awesome in Double Time.
Okay.
So this is from Podcast Brainstormer. This is on June 13th. Chris, Paul, and sometimes Chuck are hilarious together. I don't know if that means you're sometimes hilarious or I don't know.
Yeah.
And make this a great resource for those trying to DIY their SEO. Do it yourself if you guys aren't playing on. As well as those who have no idea where to begin. Thank you also for not being pompous, stuck-up rock stars. I'm sorry. Thank you again for not being pompous, stuck-up rock stars. Did I repeat that?
Yeah.
That just felt good. That you want to punch in the face. So apparently some people want to.
Yeah.
But remember, a punch in the face is cool, so you don't want to punch them in the face.
But go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Or have commercials for 10 out of 30 minutes. I think that buys you as much goof-off time at the beginning of the show as you want. Recently, we've had some reviews complaining about how much of our initial time is, I don't know, fluff or whatever.
Yeah, BSing.
Yeah.
But,
apparently we're not running commercials, so we get to do it. We get to do what we want. You're supposed to be happy.
Yeah, take that.
Keep up the great work. I just found you guys last week and have been listening to all your episodes in 2x speed. That's why the awesome at double speed on his iPod.
The Alvin and the Chipmunk voice?
Yeah, exactly. So let's slow down so you hear this.
He's going to listen to it at triple time.
Yeah. He's at episode 82 now and should be caught up in a day or two. Now that's what's up.
He's at episode 82 and should be caught up, meaning like to number...
Up to 110, yeah.
In 2 days?
Yeah.
He's beastie. Shout out to Podcast Brainstormer.
Yeah, he's killing it. And thanks for that. Really, we've never had anyone or even kind of come up with our own justification other than we just enjoy it for having that fluff period, if you will. We call it the Geno time limit.
Yeah.
I like this one. The title is I Like It So Much I Actually Told a Friend.
Appreciate it. Tell them to go like us.
Mom for Rock. This podcast has taught me so much about SEO. It's an easy listen that didn't bore me to tears or put me to sleep. It even makes me laugh. This is crazy. Who would have thought SEO could be entertaining? Thanks for all your knowledge and help. I guess I'm officially out of the SEO closet. Ugh. So we're responsible.
Mom for Rock?
Mom for Rock.
What's up, Mom for Rock? Appreciate it.
Yeah, I guess we're responsible for another person
coming out the closet.
Coming out the closet. Well, yeah, I like how you say that. Coming out the closet.
Yeah.
Just
I gotta tag that SEO just so I won't have no, confusion later.
Yeah, exactly. Just want to make sure. I don't want to be quoted as having come out of the closet.
Exactly.
Not that there's anything wrong with coming out of the closet.
Plead the fifth.
All right, here we go. So we got a Google testing display of click counts on paid search. I found this on Search Engine Land. Let me see if I can find some specs so you guys could find that article. The author was Pamela Parker. The title is Official Google Testing Display of Click Counts on Paid Search Ads, June 16th. You guys will be able to find that. Really, all we need to talk about is just our impressions because we get it. The only discussion I saw there of any value was it says, for instance, one of the clicks was 156,000 clicks for this advertiser.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, was that for that ad or for the advertiser? That was the debate in that particular situation.
Well, see, and what you can't see what we're looking at, but what's happening is in the sponsored ad column, under the sponsored ad, Google is listing the stats, basically how many clicks this particular advertiser got. And they're showing numbers, 156,000, 59 million. Oh, yeah, that does say million.
Yep.
59 million.
900,000.
Yeah, so.
Well, clearly that's next tag and not that ad, right? Because next tag is a huge website. Okay. So we ended that debate. I don't know if they figured that out on their own. So they're just showing how many times that particular advertiser has been clicked. Now, the question I would have now is that how many times an ad they've had has been clicked?
Or is it that particular ad?
Well, it's definitely not that ad, because this one is like Pro Shield air purifiers, right? 59 million searches. That's probably like 2 years of searches.
Well, and it says for this advertiser.
Right.
So my problem with this, Chris, is that what about the new guy?
Yep.
The new company who's a new business. They just getting into AdWords. They came to us, right? We're doing their PPC campaign.
They're a good company. They do a good job.
Legitimate, operate with integrity, but they're new, and so theirs gonna have like one click compared to 156,000.
Yeah, it is a little uneven. Yeah. Well, and the other thing is Nextag is a great example. So if we did a search for air purifiers, Nextag may sell a lot of them and may have a whole lot of clicks, but one company may have more product options and at better pricing, and that could be their entire focus. So if you only do air purification, you're going to have less clicks than somebody who sells, Amazon, who sells everything, literally everything. So, there's a disadvantage in that regard. I agree. I think it's going to go the way of the dodo, which is away, by the way.
The way of the dodo.
It is actually gone. What else did we have? Did we have anything else?
Yeah, you gave me this one.
That one. Oh yeah. So what is that one?
A portrait of who uses social networks in the U.S. This is another Search Engine Land article by Greg Finn, and I'll post these on Facebook so you guys can check them out, and that way you can kind of follow up what we're looking at.
Hey, while you're checking out the articles that he's posting there, why don't you like us?
Yeah.
Because we have, how many do we have? 140 likes, which I'm excited about. I think that's right, and we'd like it to be significantly more. So this was interesting. We always like stats, and we always like to give our interpretation of stats. I think most of this is going to be no duh kind of stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
The change in numbers. This is percentage of social network users, right? Is that what SNS means?
Yeah.
Social network sites. Okay.
By age.
By age. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's no surprise that 18 to 22, is the highest one.
Actually, they're not. It's 23 to 35. Look at that.
Yeah.
What's not surprising?
My age group.
Yeah, is the 65 and up. They're not using it at all.
That's like, yeah.
Like one grandma accidentally ended up on a social networking site, and that got thrown in the stats. So the actual big number is
young adults.
Yeah.
Not teenagers.
23 to 35. Look at that. And then it looks like the percentage actually decreased for 18 to 22 year olds. That's a little weird.
Well, and then we're looking at the chart. The chart is showing us from 2 years ago, 2008, and then 2010.
Right.
And so all of the numbers decreased. Well, no.
I think they just leveled out because it's a percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So more and more people are using it. It's not skewed as much towards 23 and 35-year-olds. By the way,
so that's like your almost college graduate,
or just recently, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or people my age, yeah. You know, wow. Okay, now I don't feel that bad no more. I mean, because I was heavy on social, you know, and it's all right, cool.
Yeah, so you're not outside of the norm by that much. All right, from 2008 to 2010, the ratio male to female of users was 47% male, 53% female on social media sites. I believe it.
Yep.
Now it's 44% male, 56% female. It's a little counterintuitive because it's technical, like, you know, so it's computer and all that. But
yeah,
it's social.
But the social is different.
Yeah.
And I think the marketing takeaway here is that, you know, when you're doing a social media campaign, and you're tying it into your SEO and you're linking everything to your website, keep in mind where your target is socially. You know, I mean, the numbers say, you know, more females than men, right? And so if you're having, let's say you're selling handbags and you're targeting women, then it's in your best interest to kind of attack social heavy.
Yep.
You know, because that's where they're at, especially from, you know, ages 23 to 35.
Yep.
And so these type of numbers help you establish where you should be spending your money at socially and how you should target it.
We have there's a friend of mine who owns a company called High Heel Junkie, and she's actually the person that's given us. We've kind of modeled some of the stuff that we do here in terms of social media after stuff that she's doing with her website, and you know she's doing really well. She's just crazy high end high heel junkie, and she's doing really well. So
I purposely have not shown Kim that site.
Oh, really?
Just don't think it's going to be in my best interest to show her that site.
Well, let's be honest, this isn't really in anyone's best interest, other than our friend, the owner.
Yeah, right.
It's definitely in her best interest. All right, so age and then which social media. That's a whole lot of information there.
Yeah, and then I was looking at. I was surprised. That's how you know this article. They went back kind of far because MySpace was even included.
But it still gets there's a lot of traffic on MySpace still.
There's a lot of traffic.
I don't know if I ever created a MySpace page.
I did.
Javier, did you ever create one?
What is that?
MySpace page?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't even know if he actually created one.
I have one. Yeah.
Oh, he does. He does have one. We also had something called like High Five or something, which was another social media that's done well in Latin America. So, yeah.
Yeah, with MySpace, it was. I had one. I was part of that whole craze. I mean, because I make music,
right?
And so it was good for that.
Yep.
You know, album sales. I could put my PayPal links on there, and it worked well. And then I stopped using it. And then recently, matter of fact, maybe 3 months ago, I go to check it out. I got an album sale,
right?
And I'm checking analytics, and it's like, whoa, MySpace link. So I go to MySpace. They reformatted everything, and so now all of the customization I had once did is all out of place. My background's brown and black and green and blue, and my fonts are screwed, and it's like I logged out.
Abort.
No.
First, you wonder, how did I get that album sale with my website looking like this? And second, you're happy for the album sale, and you're not going to fix
nothing.
This.
Yeah, logged out completely. And, put that on the top of my list of things that I need to get done that probably won't get done.
That probably won't. That'll never get done. It's not even, that's under the honey-do list, right?
Yeah.
All right, so MySpace, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, other social networking sites. The gender, it looks pretty even. MySpace is a little more skewed, but that could be because of the what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The one thing that was key on that chart was look at the difference in users from 18 to 22 compared to Facebook and then LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yep. almost no 18 to it's almost like grandma numbers
on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn, yeah. Yeah, that changes really quickly. It's, I need a job.
Yeah.
Where do I get a job? Oh, I get on LinkedIn.
And those numbers skyrocket.
Percentage of users, male to female ratio, MySpace, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. LinkedIn actually has significantly more. It's 63% to 37% female. Not surprising.
Yeah.
And then the rest are all headed up by female. Even Twitter, interesting.
Well, there's a lot of chicks on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a lot of female followers. And I follow a lot of females when I think about it. So it makes sense. Probably why dating sites do well socially.
Yep.
Because there are a lot of females online.
Yep. And they're getting more comfortable dating. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
All right, so here we have ethnicity. So this is let's read one of their taglines. It says African American users have the lowest presence on LinkedIn, making up 2% of total users. The highest saturation of African Americans is on MySpace with 16% of total users. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I see the numbers. I'm part of the urban community, and so that sounds fairly accurate. But what's interesting to me is that we need to figure out the date when this was done, because
when the snapshot it was, what the change.
People not using MySpace now, and so
Well, and this could easily just be the reference of those people still using MySpace.
Yeah.
What the ratio is. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's like some Hispanics are mentioned here, that there's probably some, like I mentioned, High Five. I don't think the numbers are comparable to MySpace.
Yeah.
But there may be some other social networking site, and that follows on the other. Well, that's interesting. So the second, percentage-wise for African Americans is actually other social networking sites.
Yeah.
I wonder what
those
are.
Yeah.
What keeps a similar balance? All right. People, how many people use it several times a day?
Probably YouTube, other sites like that.
That definitely counts. So our next chart here is how many times do you use it a particular social media site? Several times a day, once a day, 3 to 5 days, a week, blah, blah, blah. MySpace, 29% never. Facebook, several times a day, 31%.
Mm-hmm.
And Twitter, several times a day, 20%. Now, it's interesting because we know so many fewer people use Twitter than Facebook. I mean, the numbers are staggering, I think.
Yeah.
But the people who do use it, they use it several times a day. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and then I think it's not taking into account the fact that most of these are synced.
Right. Yeah.
And so, if I'm using Twitter, then technically I'm using Facebook, because all my ads they're all posting over there.
Yep.
And so, in Web's case, vice versa, right?
Yeah.
On Facebook is posting on Twitter, and so numbers probably a little skewed, but it makes sense though. What I've noticed is people who use Facebook are heavy on Facebook.
Right.
Like, you're either using it or you're not.
Yeah.
And most people who use it really use it.
Yeah, they're keeping photos up to date. They're
photos,
making comments.
Events, comments, stats. So let me give y'all another marketing takeaway from this would be, I think, if you're doing social media marketing, figure out where your target, where they're active at. And then wherever they're active at, that's where you should be spending your time and efforts putting the ads in front of them. If they're heavy on Facebook and they're female and you sell handbags, then it's probably in your best interest to run some Facebook ads.
Yep.
If they're heavy on Twitter, then it's probably in your best interest to maybe do a landing page and tweet links to your landing page with some don't be a douche, with some decent content, participate in the conversation and sprinkle in your links that way.
Yep. And the whole part of being social is, being in social media is literally be social.
Yeah.
We had a whole thread on our Facebook page, on our Facebook wall, about the weather. What was the weather in England? What was the weather in Australia, in New Zealand? And complaining. I think it was pretty funny. The British guy was like, It's summer here, and it snowed last week.
Man.
Because the guy in New Zealand was complaining that it was winter and it hadn't snowed yet, so he couldn't go snowboarding.
Well, it's hot here.
Yeah, it's
Stupid hot.
Hot, yeah. I think I even posted something that was like, look, we don't kid about air conditioning in Houston. It's not a joking matter.
All right, so I got a couple shout-outs.
All right.
And I got some blanks there, too.
All
I
right.
think we pretty much beat this one.
Yep.
Okay, so my shout-out, first off, Punch in the Face to HubSpot. Good job on the acquisition. They bought Performable.
Performable?
Performable,
Okay.
which is a analytics type company, but their analytics focus on the user and not necessarily traffic and clicks and page views and stuff like that. They track their analytics almost track CTA actions, like what this user did, how many calls, how they do this, how they do that. And so HubSpot bought them, undisclosed them out. So I guess that $32 million investment kind of helps.
Gave them now they're on a spending spree.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Let's go buy stuff.
Yeah, so
We're available, by the way.
Yeah, holla at me. So yeah, shout out to y'all, people over there, and shout out to James over at Made Pro. We did an analysis on his. We took it down. You can't watch it; they're a franchise. So, but he watched it. He liked it. Contacted us, and so appreciate you tuning in. And somebody else go fill out the webinar form, and we'll do yours too.
We'll be doing some website analysis here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else?
Oh, I got blank stare.
All right, blank stare. Okay.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, that was solid.
All the way blank.
Yeah.
So check this out. Blank stare at Groupon. Yes, Groupon.
At Groupon.
Yeah.
From at Chuck.
So apparently, their salespeople are too aggressive with the merchants.
Right.
Right? You got merchants filing complaints, sending complaints, posting bad reviews about the process of signing up with Groupon. And then to make it even worse is that they're losing money as a merchant.
Yeah.
If you go to Groupon, you have to pay to be a part of the system, and then they flood you with customers who all want discounts. and so what happens is you're spending money to get a client who wants a discount.
Did they change? Because I know, for instance, Third Coast Comedy, where I do some improv performing at, the way that they approached them was, look, we're going to put your ad on Groupon, and we want you to offer a 50% discount. We're going to collect the money, and we're going to keep 50% of the money.
Yeah.
So basically, there wasn't any upfront cost. It was just the fact that they're going to stick customers at Third Coast Comedy basically at 75% discount.
Yeah.
So there's no.
Well, then the example that I saw was a restaurant, and the lady had several Groupon discounts, and so, but at the end of her receipt, she was in the negative. Like the restaurant owed her $1. And so, I think y'all need to work out the numbers so that it helps the merchant.
Yeah,
right
make
now,
sure you're standing by the merchant.
Strictly user friendly for the end user is awesome, right? I'm discounts, like you said, 50-75% off. But for the merchant who's already probably struggling with these times, I think y'all should change focus a little bit.
Well, and I'll be honest though, if I'm a merchant, first off, some of that blame has to go on the merchant, right? Because you have to do the math and put the restrictions in place so that you don't owe the customer money when they come in the door. That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Smart enough.
But for our customer, Third Coast Comedy, struggling to get enough audience, you got to just make it's a great way to make awareness. And we've bought tons of Groupons because they're things that we already participate in. That's not the market for Groupon, right? That's not the market that the vendor is really trying to go after. I'm willing to give you a 75% discount if you're now aware of my place. That's true.
Yeah. So.
How often does that happen anymore? Because it's gotten so big. It's I see a Groupon of a place I know, I buy it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, that doesn't really add value to the merchant. It actually adds value to me And to
and
Groupon.
to Groupon. Yeah, the merchant is losing money.
Yeah.
You know, so what I won't say they're not losing. They just didn't get as much as they could have.
Yeah. And that's worth doing typically for new customers. It's not worth doing for existing customers.
If you're a
usually.
new business, new establishment, maybe a brand new product launch, and you need to raise some brand awareness and create a lot of foot traffic or something like that, and you have the budget to almost, I won't say take a loss, but to start off
to break even on, on a potentially large amount of customers.
Then go all in.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're established and you pretty much have a great brand, then use it moderately and research before you sign up.
Yep. And make sure that you don't owe the customer at the end of the meal.
Yeah.
I think that's a good plan.
That might be a good tip.
All right. That'll be our tip. Make sure you don't owe the customer. Anything else? Is that it?
That's it.
All right. Thank you, guys. You have been listening to the most popular SEO podcast on iTunes. That is because of you. You over there. Yeah. You can see the video of this. If we haven't made this clear, you can see the video of this live on Friday mornings. We target 9:15. We've been running a little bit late as of late. We're going to try and get back on 9:15 Central Standard Time. Just go to our website, e-style.com/SEO podcast. There's a video area of the screen there. That's where it actually is broadcast. Right under that is archives, so you could actually go watch video archives of this particular of our podcast, and then we actually release them out on iTunes regularly. You guys have made us the most popular SEO podcast on iTunes. We really appreciate you. You have been listening to podcast number 111. 111. Until the next podcast, my name's Chris Burris.
Charles Lewis.
Bye-bye for now.